I appreciate you tuning in to the show. Don't forget that throughout the week I am dropping countless reviews in the world of horror, whether it's movies, TV shows, games, books, whatever I am checking out. But every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I'm going to have some new horror news, I'm going to have an opinion piece, or an interview for you to check out. So if you want to stay on top of all the content I'm dropping here for you, you got to get subscribed to my Linktree. And you can do that by going to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed to my Linktree, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, to your favorite podcasting platforms, the audio-only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, to my TikTok page for my short horror content, including movie news and movie premieres, to my Twitch page for my horror gaming, which, make sure you're tuning in on Halloween as I am going to be playing Phasmophobia in VR. I am tempting the fates with that one. And to my Fangoria shop page, where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop, including a yearly subscription to the physical magazine. Take advantage of that, y'all, as the more followers I get, the more content I can put out for all of you. And don't forget, tonight, end of the episode, we're going to be drawing who is winning the Abigail Funko Pop. If you commented on any video in the month of October, you got entered to win this girl right here. And next month, our prize is going to be a copy of Tim Wagner's adaptation of X. Bloody Disgusting announced this a few months ago that we are getting adaptations of the X trilogy of Pearl, Maxine, and of course the one that started it, my absolute love, X, written by Tim Wagner, a phenomenal author who has written quite a few adaptations of popular horror films and just films in general. So I'm going to give a copy of this away here in the month of November, and the way to qualify is just to comment on any of the videos here that I'm dropping over the month, folks. So it is Devil's Night. It is Halloween Eve, folks. And for the last 2 months, I've been giving you weekly suggestions to keep your horror movie season going while we were leading up to Halloween itself. But tonight, I'm going to give you 8 films that you could check out on all the various streaming services to make for a good Halloween day and night marathon. If you're like me, you're going to have movies running all day, no matter what you have going on. And I'm going to give you some great ones that are available here on the service for you to check out right now, folks. So let's not waste any time here and jump to my first suggestion for you. Over on Netflix, I want y'all to go and check out Curse of Chucky. I've already given suggestions this Halloween season to watch a few other of the films in the Child's Play Chucky franchise, but the reason why I really want to suggest Curse of Chucky is because this film is so notable for bringing us back to how we were really introduced to Chucky in the first place. The franchise is great, no matter which entry you choose to look at, and yes, that does include you, Seed of Chucky. You serve a very strong purpose to this franchise as a whole, but I think that a number of fans thought that between Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, maybe it's lost its way a little bit from the really deep horror upbringings that we had in the first 3 Child's Play. Now, I don't agree with that because I do think that both Bride and Seed was able to mix horror and comedy quite well. Seed, of course, upped the ante with the comedy in it, but again, they're all really, really fun movies. But here's the deal with Curse of Chucky. Curse of Chucky brought it back to the idea of, we know that Chucky exists, we know that that doll is alive and it's killing people, and when murders start to happen in this film, of course Chucky is the one that's responsible for it. But rather than try to play Chucky for laughs and give him that comedic value that's so great for him to have in a number of these films, and that does include those first 3 movies as well too, but we kind of strip a lot of that away and take it back to Chucky just being this terrifying monster. It's a doll that's running around killing people in various ways, and that's what Curse of Chucky really brings us. It's almost like a haunted house movie in a way, because it takes a little bit before we actually get exposed to Chucky up and moving around and killing people. And I do think that that first death that we see that Chucky is actually like carrying out, because there is a death, possibly 2 before the one I'm talking about, but this death that we see in Curse of Chucky that finally reveals him to be alive and being the one behind this is cool, and it's scary, and it continues on throughout the movie. Like, I think a lot of people started feeling that maybe Chucky got a little soft, and that's not true in the least bit. I mean, he killed people in some really messed up ways in Curse and in Seed, but it's almost like by him becoming a little bit more comedic, it takes that edge away. The same thing happened with Freddy back in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. No matter how good those films really are, as they go on and he gets more comedic, Freddy himself becomes less scary. And it's almost like it was the same tonal reset that we got from Wes Craven's New Nightmare in that franchise that we're getting with Curse of Chucky. Not to mention, this is the first film that introduces Fiona Dourif, who would go on to play such an important role as Nika in this franchise. And we finally get the return of Alex Vincent as Andy Barclay as well, albeit only in a cameo. Go and check this one out. Again, I love all the Chucky movies, but this is definitely a highlight of the franchise for sure. You can check Curse of Chucky out right now on Netflix. Moving on over to Hulu. My next suggestion for you is going to be Jordan Peele's Us. Jordan Peele has shown to be one of the best creative forces that we have in Hollywood horror today. Every single film has just been phenomenal, starting with Get Out and most recently giving us Nope. He has done phenomenal in this space. And Us told another personal story here for Peele about what happens when the other side is discarded. It's almost a commentary on class welfare and definitely obviously a commentary on race as well too. But when one side of the world is living a certain way, and even if they're not living in splendor, they are the haves. And we also have the have-nots. What happens when the have-nots who are consistently used and put through pain and are discarded decide that it's time for them to rise up and against all those who have everything that they don't and seek their revenge to get what they think that they truly deserve? And that's what Us unfolds across its runtime, including amazing performances by Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke, who, again, we know from Black Panther as well and some other fantastic films. This is a phenomenal cast, phenomenal writing, phenomenal directing, and honestly, folks, there are some real scares in this as well. I mean, I think that for anybody that remembers that feeling that they got when they first saw that trailer and Lupita Nyong'o's telling her character's daughter, put your shoes on, because she knows that things are about to get terrifyingly bad and they're gonna need to be on their feet, up and moving. Just incredible. This film has not lost its impact at all. And I know there's some there's some undecisiveness with certain fans of Jordan Peele and in horror who feel that maybe it didn't pack the necessary message that it needed to. Honestly, all I can say is that maybe you just weren't looking deep enough here, because I think a lot of the messaging in this is fairly clear. And it's also a very tragic and heartbreaking story as well, too. Just like Curse of Chucky, it's also incredibly mean. It's incredibly brutal. It's not as mean-spirited as Chucky. Like, when I say mean, I mean in the way that a number of the characters are really killed in this, whereas Curse of Chucky is just, you know, it's mean-spirited in general with the way Chucky is with victims, which has only gotten much, much worse with the TV show and like Cult of Chucky in the best ways. But Us will absolutely give you some shivers watching it through, and I think it's the perfect Halloween watch if you're trying to find something a little bit more serious and from one of our modern day masters of horror. You can check out Us right now on Hulu. Over on Shudder, my next suggestion for you is going to be a bona fide classic at this point. I think it is one of the best horror films that we have gotten in the new millennium. Folks, Host. Now, I've talked about Host and I've suggested this already during this season. This film about a group of friends who decide to host a seance over Zoom while they're dealing with the COVID lockdowns, and they summon a demon that unfortunately triggers terrible results for this group. I don't want to say too much more because this movie is only an hour as it is, has a very, very short runtime. But let me tell you, y'all, if you are looking to be terrified on Halloween night, this is absolutely the one that I would suggest for you. I'm a big, big fan of found footage and first-person shot films, and the way that this film is expertly crafted to where the entire thing is really being told through basically a Zoom or a Skype call throughout the various people in this conversation. It does give us flashbacks of the Unfriended franchise, but this is definitely taken more serious and that much quicker. Not to say Unfriended isn't, but the lightheartedness goes away from this film fairly quickly. There are some phenomenal scares in this, and yeah, really good jump scares, but just overall, there is such a terrible feeling watching it through that, like, when you're watching it, you might just be conjuring something yourself by how evil it really turns out to be. No matter how many times I've watched this over the years, it has not lost that effect on me. It still terrifies me to death because, at least in my job, that's something I'm using every day, is this kind of like conversation with coworkers, with customers. And so obviously I have that built-in sense of fear, but if anybody is using Zoom or Skype or anything like that on a regular basis, you're gonna pick up exactly why Host really is so scary. Folks, you gotta check it out here. Oh my God. I can't say much more because I don't want to spoil anything, but this is one of the best horror films of the new millennium. Check out Host on Shudder right now. My next suggestion for you is over on Prime Video. Folks, you gotta go and check out Feast. I have sung the accolades of this film on this show here before, that was directed by John Gulager and was written by Saw Godfathers Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan. Y'all, this film already had me in the bag when I was younger because I was a big fan of the show Project Greenlight. This is a TV show on HBO that was done by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. It's not always easy to break into the film scene in Hollywood, and Project Greenlight afforded a way for filmmakers to get their script seen, to give new directors a chance, and a good opportunity to just see what people who weren't in the Hollywood system yet could really pull out. And Feast turned out to be such a fun, gory monster flick that I really think a lot more people need to get eyes on. It's very tongue-in-cheek, and it's also very meta for anybody who's looking for something that very much has commentary on the horror scene these days. Most of our characters get these fantastic, hilarious introductions that lead to some amazing deaths over the course of this film. I love the facts that we're getting about them, almost like a video game almost, as you're trying to pick your character that you're trying to go with. The monster design in this is wonderful. You know, I think that we took a lot of big swings in the 2000s with monster films, and the design that we get here of the beasts that are terrorizing all these patrons that are trapped in this bar, so good. And that's where the story of this really goes into, is that it follows a group of patrons that get stuck in a bar as monsters try to break in and murder all of them. Some of these characters you'll really enjoy. There's gonna be a lot more that you don't, but that's also the fun, is that the movie kind of forces you to kind of saddle up with some unscrupulous characters and see, does that really matter when you have these killer monsters trying to break in and rip everybody limb from limb? It is hilarious, it is bloody and gory in the best way, and it's a bit more lighthearted than some of the other films I've already suggested for you. So if you need yourself a bit of a palate cleanser, Feast can definitely help you out with that. And also, Marcus Dunstan recently came out with a film that I really enjoyed, All My Friends Are Dead. You know, he's behind the Collector series as well too. This is just another one under the wheelhouse that you should definitely go and check out. You can go and watch Feast on Prime right now, y'all. Over on Max, go and check out the phenomenal anthology film Trick or Treat. Y'all know I love me some anthology horror. Any movie that decides to give us multiple tales in its runtime and give us just a little dab of all the different horror genres that are out there, it's fantastic because you don't have to decide on just one story. If you don't like one, there's plenty of other ones for you to look into. Michael Dougherty brings us numerous horrific tales based around Halloween night and all the madness that can happen within. What I love about it is that all these tales are very much interconnected. You know, anthology horror does work phenomenally when they're all very much separated and they don't have anything to do with each other. But I do like when certain movies have the ability to weave everything together, if not in major ways, just little minor ties makes it really fun because you get to see one point of the story from a completely different perspective. And Sam, who is our mascot of Trick or Treat, is a terrific mascot in which he actually gets to play a role in a number of these stories. And I love that because one thing in like Tales from the Crypt that I was always so sad about was that the Crypt Keeper himself didn't really play a role in most of the stories that were happening. You know, there's just one throughout the course of the TV show that he really was directly involved in, but outside of that, he doesn't really play that much of a role except for telling us the story. So imagine if your Crypt Keeper was actually taking a more active role in everything that was going on. That's really what we're getting here out of Trick or Treat. And like so many of the other entries I've mentioned to you here tonight, this is another one that's really bloody. In some cases, it can be mean-spirited, and kind of like a few of these other ones as well too, it is not picky about who gets punished in these stories for breaking rules, for being mean, and for just straight up deserving it. This is a very complete film that you can go and check out right now over on Max. Trick or treat, y'all. On Disney Plus. Yes, that's right, folks. I did say Disney Plus because one of the more phenomenal things about Disney Plus is that we are now seeing adult content go onto there. Now, I say phenomenal. Obviously, I think there's going to be a number of parents who aren't too happy about that their kids can access all their Marvel stuff and all their Winnie the Pooh and Peter Pan and Aladdin and Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast and all that. But then on the flip side, we actually have death, murder, monsters and movies and TV shows on there as well too. I'm not the one who designed the platform, y'all. I suggest you go and check out James Cameron's classic Aliens. Recently, we got Alien Romulus finally headed out here to digital for all of you to check out, the latest film in the Alien franchise. But as Alien Romulus is set smack dab between our original film Alien and the film that I'm suggesting to you, Aliens, it's a great way to continue on from where we left off in Alien Romulus. Like if you're looking to see, well, what happens next? There it is right there, available for you on Disney Plus. This focuses on survivor of the Nostromo, Ellen Ripley, being forced to return to the planet LV-426 when a group of colonists stop responding with the company that hired them. Ellen Ripley and the Colonial Marines will go to investigate, only to find out the horrors that have taken over the colony at LV-426, and they'll try to escape with their lives. Now, I know everybody loves the original Alien, and that's typically the big suggestion because that one is just a straight up horror film. You get the one xenomorph and it's chasing the entire crew throughout the Nostromo. But I was always a bigger fan of Aliens because I thought the simple idea that you're sending in these Marines who should be better equipped to deal with this situation, and yet and still they are overwhelmed and systematically killed over the course of this film, I thought that made it that much more scarier. Because of course, an Alien, the crew of the Nostromo is not equipped to handle this. But again, the whole idea that you would think that these people are better set for this task, and then it turns out, no, they're not better equipped for this situation at all. It just sends shiver. I can't even say it. It sends shivers down my spine, y'all. Go and check out James Cameron's classic Aliens on Disney Plus right now. Still feels so weird to say that. On Peacock, one of my favorites. You know, I just got done talking about Don't Look, a film that Sam Raimi produced. But if you want to see a film that Sam Raimi actually did recently that still proves that the dude has got it in spades, folks, I am suggesting Drag Me to Hell. When a young bank teller makes a decision to not approve a gypsy woman for an extension on her home loan, she enacts a curse upon this bank teller that will send her straight to hell within a number of days. Now, she tries to find a way to get out of this, and this is where all of the horror resides at. Now, this stars Alison Lohman, and our horror king, Justin Long, is featured in this as well, too. Folks, we've been told that we are getting a sequel to Drag Me to Hell. Have not heard that much about that recently, but this film is not only gross, but the scares in it are legit as well too. The Lamia, the demon that is sent after our heroine, Christine Brown, is terrifying in the ways that it will try to get a hold of Christine. But not only that, the gypsy woman that curses her has her own terrifying scares in this film as well too. Now, I don't want to spoil anything for you in the least bit, but name of the movie kind of gives away what you can expect to happen. And y'all, believe me, any movie that is able to distract you from that and tell a really, really good story to scare the hell out of you during it, and then still give you what I thought was a surprising ending. Okay, what you have to say, it's a very surprising ending to me. That is a win in my book. It feels like classic Raimi, but it's done in the modern age, and it fits so well. If you are a fan of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, this is absolutely in your wheelhouse for sure, y'all. Go and check out Drag Me to Hell right now on Peacock. And my final suggestion for you over on Tubi, one of the best vampire films that we've gotten, 30 Days of Night. Now, this is based on the graphic novel by Ben Templesmith about the town of Barrow, Alaska, and how it yearly has 30 days of pure darkness. And that makes it a perfect ground for vampires to come and feast, to make their way into the town, and it's up to the residents, led by our sheriff, played by Josh Hartnett, to save the day and get everybody out alive. Now, it's interesting because most vampire films that we get is going to give us the duality of they can't get you in the daytime, and then what happens when it's the night? Can we actually survive this? Can we get away? And a lot of movies do a really good job of, oh, there's only an hour left of sunlight. Are we prepared? Are we ready to go? And the countdown is great in a lot of films. But taking that out of the bag and knowing that there is zero safety from the sun in this just adds another level of horror, whether you've read the graphic novel that it's based on or not. The design of the vampires is quite different from a lot of others that we've seen in the medium before here. They are far more vicious. There's no romanticizing of this like we've seen in other films and other TV shows. It's a very, very bloody affair, to say the least. And this also gave us a great starring role for Home and Away alum Melissa George, who is fantastic. You might know her a little bit better from like Dark City or The Triangle. And from Deathstroke himself and Spartacus actor Crixus Manu Bennett. Folks, if you are looking for a vampire film that is different from all the stuff we're getting back in the 80s and the 90s, which means no disrespect because we have so many great vampire films coming from those two decades, this is definitely a more modern take for you to go in line with the way that the world is turning and the way that we approach violence these days. Go and check out 30 Days of Night on Tubi right now. So that's it, folks. 8 suggestions for you to check out on Halloween itself, so you can keep the scary vibes going while you're handing out candy and waiting for the clock to turn to November 1st. Go and check them out. Let me know in the comment section there if you enjoy any of these or what you're planning to watch during Halloween for a chance to win a copy of Tim Wagner's X novel adaptation. I'm going to be giving this out at the end of November, and yes, if you comment on this episode tonight, that will qualify you for an entry to win this, folks. And speaking of which, it is time to draw our winner of the Abigail Funko Pop. I promised that we'd be giving this out here at the end of the month. To qualify, all you had to do was comment on any video in the month of October. So tonight, our winner, drum roll, terrible drum roll, but that's why I don't play drums, folks, was Roleplayer5564. You commented on my review of the film Campfire Tales, and that has won you this Abigail Funko Pop. So I'm going to be reaching out to you here very soon so we can get our information exchanged and I can get this on over to you. Folks, I love giving these prizes away. I'm going to have some fun stuff in December for you as well, too. But for now, we look forward to November. Hit that subscribe button, folks. I got more great reviews coming up for you. And next week, we are back to our usual Wednesday schedule. Again, talking horror news, an interview, or an opinion piece for you. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.
Boy here is a big fan of Fangoria. So, if you want to check out the world's best horror magazine that's out there, get a chance to get yourself your own subscription, which I just got my first one back in 2022 and I don't regret it for a second. But if you want your own Fangoria subscription or you like the Fangoria merchandise, then head over to the Fangoria shop and use my link if you want to save yourself some money, folks. That's an easy one to remember. Just go to shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW. Again, that's shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW, or use my specific code AXDEW at checkout. You can save 20% off your entire order, and that implies 2 subscription and one-time orders as well. You don't want to miss out, folks, because with the magnitude of horror movies we've had released in the last few years, and with what we have on the horizon, Fangoria is going to be your #1 source for all that great, juicy, bloody information in the world of horror. So again, head to shop.fangoria.com. Hey there, folks! Thanks for tuning in to T-Watch This Scary Movie. I appreciate you checking out another review or movie news, whether we're talking movies, TV shows, books, or games, whatever, it's all scary. Remember, you can check out new episodes every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the YouTube page for video. That's youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Again, youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. And you can check out the audio version on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search T Watch the Scary Movie or TWASM. Don't forget, my name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.